Weiner. He's one of the most knowledgeable people in our industry, I have to say. He's a past president of laminate companies, of PCB drilling companies, and of course one of the biggest distributors out of China, WKK. So he's got a huge amount of global knowledge of our industry. And he's also an IPC Hall of Famer. So welcome, Gene. Lovely to see you today.
Nice to see you again. It's a shame it's only once a year or twice a year at these events.
I know. So, there's an awful lot happening in the world at the moment. There's a lot happening on the geopolitical stage. There's a lot happening on the technology stage. Let's start with the sort of geopolitical stage, with what's happening between the companies that are manufacturing in China. They've suffered a lot in the last year with all these lockdowns and things like that. How's it playing out over there?
It's playing out pretty bad. First of all, the government's concerned about the first drop in population growth in decades. Mm-hmm. Secondly, they've been pretty well shut down. We have two things coming up. We have both the decline in orders as the pipeline filled in the low-end things. Orders dropped off if people started going to work. The cell phone order business dropped 25% in the last quarter, right. Which is a major thing. The suppliers of advanced materials have cut them off, and they're threatening to do the same. Printed circuit companies found that the Christmas orders were filled, and the orders are not coming back at the same way for home computers or other things other than broadcast. Mm-hmm. And we also now have the Chinese New Year right now, which is an annual shutdown, yeah. Which will cause even further delays with a difficulty in supplying materials. Meanwhile, the chip situation is another one where China's trying to catch up, and they have a lot of Taiwanese companies there that build very good things that are quickly moving to Thailand and Malaysia and elsewhere. As we know, almost weekly there's news on that. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, their business has dropped off. I heard just last week that the organic substrate business for advanced chips, because of the shortage and the global situation, facilities are only running at 60-70% at the moment, although they all claim second half of the year they're going to be overloaded again. Right. And we have two different things. The chips don't float, as they say in the PCB. They have to be packaged and they have to be mounted on a device to bring them to the outside world. Right. All electronics depends on your chip, the substrate, the printed circuit board, and software. You need all three. If any one of those is in jeopardy, the whole thing falls apart. Yeah. If there is any type of shutdown in one major supplier, it all falls apart. Then when you have certain things that drain all the facilities from medical or military because of the situation between Ukraine and Russia, and other things going on there, and then the power cuts off, and you have factory situations also in Europe that are kind of crazy. It all comes to pieces, and I don't think there is anybody sitting here right now that can forecast the next 6 to 9 months for their business accurately.
You're absolutely right. There's very limited visibility out there. I mean, people talking about recession, some even talking about a crash. I mean, who knows? There has certainly been, as you said, a decline in a lot of the consumer-led products, the cell phone industry, and that type of thing. But, who knows whether it's going to come back at the end of the year. Well,
we have some shifts that will balance a lot of the things. For example, automotive. Right now, if you try to buy a particular Ford SUV, they'll try to direct you to another one because they don't have the chips for it. They have orders for more than 25,000 that they can't deliver. So people with orders in place are being recommended, and they're getting incentives to try and buy another model because of chips. A friend just bought a recent Japanese car, I won't mention the brand, without two of the things, including the garage door opener, because they couldn't get the chips. Right. Yeah, so he jumps out and opens the garage door. Mm-hmm. But the low-end chips thing is filling. Mm-hmm. Different ways of filling it. That is filled. It's the high-end chips that are the problem, and even more so, the packaging of the high-end chips. Yeah. Sure, we have, let's say, TSMC is going to build a big facility here. Intel's going to build a big one in Ohio. Right. Europe is building one. The Japanese are Samsung's putting one into Texas. Right. That's all wonderful. But you still have to assemble them. You still have to package them.
And the OSATs here are maxed out.
well, we're not maxed out. We just never had the capacity because it all goes back to Southeast Asia for packaging. And people say, oh, we're putting all this money in. And the money's available to foreign companies that want to build here. It's not just American companies. And to nearshoring, such as Mexico with the new Canada, U.S., Mexico trade agreement. But what's happening is people don't know. These factories won't be up and running for 2 or 3 years.
That's true.
So we're looking at the future. But when they're running, they're still going to be shipped back because we still have to build the technical and volume and production capability and skill sets in the U.S. and in Europe and in South America, Latin America, to fill the void.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the other things that's happening with all this change that's happening, this nearshoring and the things following the U.S. CHIPS Act and the European CHIPS Act, and that is that they're using this opportunity to leapfrog some of the technologies.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the new technologies you're seeing coming out there.
Well, what we call new technologies may or may not be new. Some have been around for a few years, just now beginning to emerge as they sort of stabilize. One of them, of course, is the old-fashioned additive, where you put a metal ink down or a deposit and build up, using different types of exposure systems or bonding systems. We have a Veritech. We have the homegrown system at Secor in Switzerland, which uses a combination of thin film and printed circuit technology. We have the 3D additive, which is part additive, which deposits a resin or plastic and a metal in three-dimensional build-up without a substrate. Then you have those that are hybrid, where they take a substrate and they build up on top of that. And then we have the situation, we have Nanosystems, which is in the second, third generation in Israel, setting up, and they bought several other companies that can build very small ceramic or metal parts down, and we're talking in the maybe 10 mil range by additive techniques. And they're fairly slow, but if you're doing small parts and you have a 12 by 12 and your parts are that big, you make 200 at a time, what is volume? Then we have maybe 10 or 12 companies doing the 3D additively manufactured electronics. And there are no standards for this. We have to create standards. There will be a meeting here tomorrow to talk about creating a committee to make standards for 3D additive manufactured electronics.
Well, standards always follow technology. So, I mean, the additive technologies are still fairly new. There's also a lot of other things, the AI led technologies that are coming out. There's no standards for these either.
Yeah, but you have to define what you mean by additive. Is it 3D totally additive? Is it partial? Is it being an additive circuit on a substrate? Or do you start with nothing and do plastic and metal at the same time? So there's a definition problem.
Different things, and there's also the company that you and I were talking about the other day, that Mech Nano, which is bringing out
and also Fuji introduced a system in Europe just a couple of months ago, which is a similar system, but also has a component insertion attached to it. Then we have to, we look at that and we say, well, meanwhile, to do HDI now, UHDI, Ultra HDI, so the small is getting tinier. How do you do that? Well, there are no standards as yet for anything under 75 microns, 3 mils. So the IPC's committee is doing that. So then what happened, in China, there was a call by the IPC's committee there to form a committee to create standards for the UHDI and HDI. And 90-something companies showed up, including 3 Japanese and some Americans. And then they put out the call just this past week for the Western world to join in. And that'll be coming up. So there's a lot going on there. But then you have to say, all right, how do I make this? You have to have trained people. You have to have the process. You need a facility that's totally beyond that of the typical printed circuit board, where you're making, where you consider 4, 5, 6 mil line, the space, fine line. That doesn't cut it anymore. No. We have to go down to 25 micron and even less in some cases. So that's going to take equipment that's far more expensive, facilities that's far more expensive, training, control, standards, and more standards. And you're not going to find all the people. So you have to train and upgrade your own people.
Yeah.
You have to put in-house training in. You have to find the skill set to do it. But right now, the skill sets are mostly in Asia.
Well, they are, but I think things are changing so fast, that,
It is changing fast. What caught my attention during the past 60 days of the number of companies operating in China, both Chinese and Taiwanese and other, moving to Malaysia, setting up facilities, particularly in Thailand,
right.
which is a major source of automotive parts supply and circuits for
moving
India.
To Mexico. There's someone moving to Mexico, actually.
Mexico, there are two cities, primarily Guadalajara and one other about 160 miles northeast of Mexico, is the 10th largest EMS center of the world.
Yeah.
And it's growing.
And it's growing.
It's growing, and more people are there, and there are trained people. The two cities where they are have 4 or 5 universities. They now have got about 20, 30 years of skilled labor there. They know what they're doing.
I hear they're starting to move in some chip-related industries as well into the south of Mexico because there's a lot of water there.
Yeah. Well, the water is another favorite one of my topics. There are very few printed circuit shops in Mexico, as we think of it, maybe 3 or 4 that are operating properly.
Yeah.
And I was called by a major global supplier, one of the multi-$100 million ones, just a few weeks ago, and said, "What do you think of Mexico?" I said, "Well, if you get the cartels out of the way and go to one of the safe areas, such as Guadalajara, right, elsewhere." I was serious about this because there are some safe areas.
Right.
And I would consider it. They said, "Well, what about water?" I said, "Do you know that there are over 50 countries with over 18,000 water purification facilities from salt water operating? You can get a license from Israel tomorrow, set up and have all the water you need, plus with demonstrated new waste treatment processes, such as those installed at Green Circuits and beyond that, Green Source up in New Hampshire, you will use less water, and you can purify it, and it's affordable, and it's available. So don't say there's no water. The ocean is right not far away.
Yeah. That's true.
Go out in a modern battleship or nuclear sub. Where do they get their water? They
Right.
purify it.
Right, of course. Yeah. Well, it's fascinating talking to you, Gene. There's just so many things that we could talk about all day, both on the technology front and on the business front. But we unfortunately are pushed for time, so I want to thank you for coming in and talking to us today.
I would like to say, all those that are viewing us, I said, this is a great time. It's a challenging time. It's a time to do new things. It's a time to succeed. And I wish I were 25 years old at this period. There's so much going on.
So much going on. It's incredible. It's really exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Great to talk to you.
Why do something 3 times when you can do it only once? Using N1 Pass technology, BTU's new Profile Tracer is a next-generation thermal profiling tool, providing real-time data acquisition for oven optimization. It identifies inconsistencies due to temperature variables at both the product level and the heat source. Profile Tracer measures dual temperature locations as well as vibration, all in one pass, giving you time to attend the more important things in life.
Ko-Young is leading a smart revolution that will change the world of electronics manufacturing. Based on our pioneering True 3D measurement-based inspection technology, we revolutionize the solder paste inspection market to such great lengths that 1 in 2 SPIs sold today is from Ko-Young. Building our SPI technology, we expanded to automated optical inspection, also known as AOI. Every year, we introduce new award-winning innovations and have proudly earned the respect from thousands of customers across diverse industries. Aside from our R&D center in Korea, we have research facilities focused on artificial intelligence and deep learning across the world to help us further develop proprietary AI technologies for your challenges. With our global network of sales and service centers, we aim to respond quickly to your needs and to deliver the highest level of customer satisfaction.